All right, so now we're going to go to topic two, which was the Renaissance. Again, we did go over this, but the Renaissance was trade, a new economic system, and it fueled a European comeback. I made a little hashtag for you there, a little trend with comeback season, baby. Okay, this is Europeans. This is Europe's comeback season. All right. So the Renaissance was a rebirth, which we talked about in French. In French, um, sorry, let me start this again. The Renaissance, rebirth in French, was a cultural movement in the 14th to 17th centuries, during which European artists, scientists, and scholars were inspired by classical achievements of the Greeks and Romans. Okay, so that's important, which they became aware of through the ruins of and Greco-Roman texts preserved by Islamic scholars. So remember that the in the Middle East there was the Islamic Golden Age going on right now. So they had done a lot of translations and things like that of other texts, and they were kind of staying on top of science and everything. So those ideas through trade, through the Silk Roads and everything, finally got to Europe. Um, the Renaissance started in Italy in 14th century. I should say the European Renaissance started in Italy in 14th century, which is around the 1330s. Then its ideas and cultural trends spread slowly across Europe. The Renaissance marked the end of the Middle Ages. Remember, the Middle Ages were kind of not great, right? The end of the Middle Ages and the start of the Renaissance occurred because of renewed trade connections. All right, everything comes back to trade. And a great deal of wealth that was made off of the trade. So people had more money, which means they were able to do more things, pay for more things, and see more culture. Okay. Um, the Crusades, which took place during the Middle Ages, though destructive, connected Europeans with Islamic traders in the Middle East who had access to trade networks in Asia. As a result, Western European interests in the rest of the world grew. Okay, so the Crusades were bad because they were just a huge failure, but because the people in the Crusades were going to and from the Middle East, they made these connections with the Muslims who were in their golden age of their own, and the Crusades and the people involved in the Crusades were able to bring back some of these ideas to Western Europe. Okay, let's go to the next slide. All right, more comeback season. Okay, Italy was the connection between Western Europe and the Islamic empires, okay? Because, they got the boot there. It's right in the Mediterranean Sea, okay? After the Crusades, Italian cities like Venice made strong connections with the Ottoman empires. Wealthy merchants like the Medici family turned their interest into beautifying cities like Florence. If you have money, you're going to spend money on making things look good, right? If you have a lot of money, a lot of people are going to go buy nice clothes or nice things for their house. And that's basically on a larger scale what they were doing in Italy. To do so, they funded artists, architects, and scientists to study Greek and Roman building structures, then to build new Italian achievements. Without money, without money from trade, the achievements of the Renaissance would not have been created. When the Black Death, a disease that spread through the trade routes, swept through Italy, it killed off a lot of nobles. Merchants replaced the nobles as the wealthy people in Italy. So that's important right there. The nobles, again, if we go back to the Middle Ages, they were right here. Okay? The merchants were traders, right? Merchants were traders. So for a while, these landowners, these nobles, they had a lot of power. But the Black Death, since they didn't move, the Black Death killed them. They're dead. Oh no. Okay. But now it's these traders that have a lot of the power. Okay. The nobles held wealth and land, but the merchants made money through trade. Peasants also had new options, since nobles had controlled them under feudalism, were no longer as strong as they could make money in business that made goods and trade. So obviously, life got a little bit better for the peasants. Over the course of the 15th, 16th, 17th, 14th, 15th, 16th, and 17th centuries, the wealth and culture trends in Italy spread throughout Europe, inspiring achievements in the arts of sciences in the Netherlands, England, France, and elsewhere, bringing Europe out of the Dark Ages and into the modern era. All right, so now we got to answer these questions again, okay? So think about who's getting more power here. These guys, right? So if they're getting more power, what's life going to be like for the nobles, for the monarchs, and even for the Catholic Church? We didn't talk too much about the Catholic Church, but think about maybe the monarchs and nobles, and who was in charge of the monarchs and nobles? Well, these guys were, right? The Catholic Church was, okay? So think about how that's all going to come together and who's going to probably come back on top out of the Renaissance.